Nothing else that they do this whole year will make more impact on the business than working with you. That level of confidence will move them to a meeting.
We bought a basketball hoop and put it on top of our standee. And then anybody passing, it's tough to call them directly. Now you just throw the ball and say, hey, do you want to shoot a hoop? And then they're shooting the hoop, but they read everything below it. And they're like, wow, 25% increase in conversion. I'm going to talk to these guys.
What's cool about B2B is that if it makes money, it makes sense.
It makes money.
You just bring in one conversion, you pay for yourself for a year.
Yep.
That's the kind of business you want to be in.
We have done 9 core pilots, especially on Google search ad campaigns. Out of the 9, our minimum uplift on conversion is 15%. We have
a moment of silence for that for everybody. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. That's amazing.
Welcome to the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller, brought to you by GrowthExpertz. You're in store for a chat about funding, marketing, startups, and all things growth.
Hello and welcome back to the Funded Now What podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lee Miller, also known as Andrew Startups. And today I got something really cool for you. We got AJ, the founder and CEO of Fibr AI. I know, another AI startup. We're going to talk about, maybe it doesn't even need to be called Fibr or need to be called AI because it is a web experiences company. Basically, they've figured out a way with AI to change a website instantly based on intent and other unique factors. Unheard of, very cool. And what excites me about this company, not only did they raise $7.5 million seed round, but they also have probably a greater uplift for conversion rates from marketers than anything else you could ever do. Like as a marketer, I know that the more you customize the experience to the user, the higher the conversion rates. AJ, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Andrew, for having me here. And it's always refreshing to hear and talk to a marketer because they understand what you're trying to do, right? Like it's tough going generic and trying to explain people what we are trying to do. But when you talk to a marketer, it just always clicks.
Yeah, dude, I got it in the first 10 seconds. We do basic customization. Like if you're on a mobile device, we push a mobile app for a startup, as opposed to if they're on desktop, they don't see any mobile app CTAs or suggestions. And even that has a very large uptick in conversions. But explain deeper about the product. I only looked at it briefly enough to reach out to you and tell you please be on the show. So tell people exactly what Fibr does.
Yeah, I think like prima facie what you talked about is on point. What we are trying to do is, especially when I started Fibr, if you think about the entire marketing stack, except the website, everything is like hyper personalized, really forward looking, has changed over a decade, like from your banners and your hoardings out there or out of home to doing meta marketing, Google ads marketing, which are highly personal. Everything has changed except website. Like website is still the same. Like 10 years back, if you talk to me, it's the same web experience than now, right? Like it has not evolved. So my goal when I started Fibr was, hey, can I connect the entire marketing stack with the website and consume all the signals that we get from marketing and change the website based on them. So for example, if you're running an ad campaign on a credit card and the search is credit card for travel miles versus a search is credit card for grocery points, I don't want them to see a generic web page. I want to make sure I take that intent and show them a lot more about the grocery points that we can give with the credit card and a lot more about like travel miles rather than like a generic, hey, we are the best credit card out there, right? Like, and so that's what we do. The idea is to connect emails, idea is to connect analytics, idea is to connect Meta, Google, TikTok, LinkedIn with your website and change everything based on what ad you're running, who you are targeting, who your demographic is, what has performed well in the past. Exactly.
Wow.
To the extent, like we can go climate, we can go day or night, like we can do anything. Yeah.
So as a marketer, I have some pushback on that though, because one of the main value props I offer companies as a consultant is that we do the hard SEO, GEO stuff at the beginning of and I like to make all those pages and market those pages. So for the grocery points analogy, I want to make a separate page and use that as a separate landing page, as opposed to having only one page that morphs, because I can get much more inbound traffic from having multiple pages. So my first question, and what I was most excited to ask you about, is how does this affect SEO? How does this, ability to have dynamic page creation real time affect the ability to come up on Google? Do you have an answer for that?
So Andrew, the best part is we don't touch SEO at all. Like, so consider as more an orchestration or a visualization layer. So we sit on top of your page and change. Like, for example, if you have a web page, we basically do a different text to AJ and a different text to Andrew without underlying changing anything. It's kind of like an Instagram filter. So if you're coming from ad 1 or ad 2, the filter keeps on changing. But your underlying page, which your Google SEO sees, always the same, doesn't change. So your SEO doesn't break. You create as many pages as you want. We are a visualization layer on top. So it gives us a lot of scale, right? Like you can sit on any CMS. You don't have to worry about what tech stack a company is on, what they're doing. We can just be on top of them and be a new layer that consumer sees.
Cool. So I can still make all the different varied pages I want, optimized for SEO, and that. Then, it's interesting. I'd love to see the proof of that later on when we talk again, because usually when I have even a slight redirect or any kind of, like you said, filter layer over the website, Google can see that and doesn't rank you somehow. I mean, I don't know. Have you gotten in touch with Google at all to even discuss with them about this?
We work with almost all the core providers. Like now AEO and GEO is also a big thing, right? Like, so everybody talks about it, all of those things. We, like, in all the companies that we have gone live with, we didn't impact SEO at all, right? Like, so we only get triggered when there are certain signal in the URL. So it could be a UTM parameter, it could be an IP address. But when a Google crawler comes to your site, they come in with the core URL link, and they only read the HTML. We are not even touching the HTML. We are a layer on top. Like, so what we are doing is very tech. I'm not a tech guy, right? Like I'm still a marketer.
Really?
I'm a marketer, right?
An Indian non-tech guy, CEO. Okay.
Yes. So I love selling. I love marketing. So the way I explain typically to my friends out there is, hey, we hijack like something called a DOM structure in HTML. And then which Google sees, and we put a layer on top which Google doesn't see. So
got it.
That's how we do it.
Very cool. Okay, next pushback, just to be difficult, the devil on the shoulder. Respect as a Daisy founder. I mean, like, it's amazing what you've accomplished, a big seed round. But if you're selling in India, or even with, the accent is amazing, but Fibr sounds like Fiverr when you say it. So you might want to work on that one thing, because Fiverr, you'll never, like, word of mouth is important. Like you're in Vegas right now. You told me offline you're going to some conferences. You can't go up to people and be like, I'm at Fibr.com. It sounds like Fiverr.com, so just be careful on that. But
no, I agree.
Where did you come up with the name? How'd you come up with the name?
So to be honest, we started, I had a retail background, right? Like I have CPG companies, mostly worked. I have started a CPG company, sold a CPG company. So that's been the background. And when I started this, like, it was on a trip with a couple of VC friends and a couple of their significant others, my significant others. And then we were sitting and discussing ideas, and they're like, oh, yeah, you connect this with this. That's the optical fiber. So we can do fiber. And we didn't find a E we didn't find a domain name with an E in it. So we said, okay, what can we do? So we dropped the E and it became like a fiber.com, Fibr.ai.
Fibr.ai.
Yeah, I am not yet that happy with the name. I think we'll have a rebrand in future. For now, the goal is to get customers, man. Like the whole idea is to hit a certain number of revenue, and like our major customers, we work with Fortune 500 companies right now, right? So our major customers are like mostly in New York, Chicago, and like places like that. So the idea is like, how can you go after them? They right now are not searching for us. There's no referral. The referral is very, very like in-person referral kind of. So I'm not too worried. But once we start like going wider and bigger, and I think there'll be a rebrand in pipeline.
Perfect. Well, I know an expert I can recommend for that. But
Awesome.
Fibr is not a bad name. It's just like it's difficult, I think, to get people to find it because you have such a short name. But, I do think that's the playbook, is like, go get customers and then rebrand later. I say this a couple times on the podcast already, that .ai, when you're selling to non-tech customers, can be actually damaging for conversion rate. So let's talk a little bit about who are the customers. Like, are these publishers? Is this like Nike, big e-commerce brands? Like, who needs customized experiences like that the most?
Yeah, so Andrew, I think that retail is the best place. D2C brands, retail. The problem is, when I started, I come from CPG, right? Like, so I love CPG. This is like bread and butter for me for the first decade of my career. But what I realized, like, CPG is, we are spoiled by Shopify, right? Like, we have a $20 app store. Everything is like $20, $100, $1,000, and so nobody wants to pay a lot more than that. And that was our learning in the first year when we were figuring out our ICP. Where we got a lot of success is ecosystem, which is not at all standardized, which is lead gen or forms. So our ICP became lead gen plus high LTV customers. So that's like banks, because any new customer they get, this they earn a lot of money from
LTV is
them. Credit
massive.
cards, right? Credit cards, telecom, healthcare, your GLP-1 drugs, like those became our core go-to folks, and that's what we are going after. And because that became a core, kind of we moved into an enterprise layer, because these are typically like larger folks. So we are like credit unions are like our mid-market, and larger banks are like enterprise. That's the area we are playing in.
I like those targets too, because they're old school. They're never going to be able to build this internally. And again, like, they haven't seen anything come across their desk that can uplift conversion rates in 10 years. Yeah. So I think it's kind of an easier sell. I did notice on your website, you have a lot of like compliance, like SOC 2 and stuff, because you're getting access to like all the data. That's the main thing that those kinds of customers really care about.
Yeah.
How detailed is the product from an onboarding and integration perspective? Like, that can also be a deal killer to those kind of banks. Like, how many employees does it take? Do you do it as an agency white glove thing, or is it just a platform that you give to them, or what?
Yeah, you are in the valley, right? Nothing ever goes as 100% product out there, right? And within the AI ecosystem, I think even YC has started talking about it. A lot of VCs talk about it, that own the entire piece, don't just sell the software. So we do the same thing, right? Like, so when we go in, we are a software layer, which is also run by agents, but we do want to make sure there's a human in the loop element. So we do have a component of human in the loop, or we call it forward deployed marketer, who goes in, it's a fancy term to like a customer support, right? So the entire valley has moved to forward deployed engineer. Dude, that was like solutioning engineer in the past, but it's a fancy term now. So you are in marketing, like every term matters a lot, how you position yourself. So we do that, and we do a heavy lifting for most of our customers. To give you like, I know it's a slightly bit like longer, but I want to tell you like exactly how it works. When we start with the customer, we always tell them, start with a pilot with us, do a 2-month run. I will show you an ROI on your ad spend, and I'll show you an ROI on my product. And then it becomes a much easier conversation.
Of course.
Right. And so there we do a very simple thing. We connect their Google Ads account, and we put a JavaScript in their website, and that's it. So there's no lift. There's compliance and other stuff that happens in the background, but like overall going live wise, it's that much work.
So a prerequisite is they need to be spending money on paid advertising. It's not organic traffic.
No, it's not a prerequisite. Like, it's the highest ROI showcase for them.
Of course.
Organic traffic, like, it's tough for them to see an ROI. Like, when I talk to marketers, a lot of marketers love organic traffic, but they kind of feel it's free. Organic traffic is not free. You have spent a lot of money in the past, and now it has happened. So they don't see an ROI on organic traffic. They always feel it was anyway going to convert it. That doesn't happen, right? Like, I have spent 10 years in marketing. I understand, like, that is not the way. So we typically go in where we can actually show them an ROI so that they understand, yes, it is there. And then say, let's expand to organic, expand to LLM, expand to whatever the source of traffic.
Makes sense. And like, from a pricing point, are you charging based on traffic?
We do two so in our ecosystem, the competition we have, the traditional competition we have, they're always about traffic, right? But the traditional competition was also about traffic with hiring an agency or a manpower to run that software.
Right.
We do it with AI. So our two costing parameters are traffic and AI agent cost, or the use case or the number of campaigns that you're running with this cost. So
Makes sense.
that's how we do it. Rule of thumb, 100,000 visitors, 100 campaigns is kind of like 100K for us.
Okay. So the average customer is 100K a month or 100K lifetime?
100K a year. Not a lifetime, but like a year.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's like you said, a bank. And what kind of case studies, what kind of metrics can you say, like, is the uplift? Like, let's say, okay, my bank has 100,000 people a month coming to the website. We're running ads on Google. We're spending a bunch of money. We add this Fibr layer over top. What kind of results can we expect?
Yeah. So Andrew, to be honest, like a lot of these banks don't let us use their name publicly, but I'll give you like a more nuanced view. We have done 9 core pilots, especially on Google search ad campaigns. Out of the 9, our minimum uplift on conversion is 15%. We have as high as 32. Yeah.
Let's
So
just
it's insane.
Pause a moment of silence for that, for everybody. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I have the same problem as a hired gun marketing consultant. We have to sign NDAs with most of our clients. So I have case studies still from 2020, 2019 that
my case study says Fortune 50 bank has seen this. I can't say anything more than that. And so, that's how we write the case studies in that case.
It's awesome. Yeah. So 15% uplift in conversion when a bank's LTV, even every customer is, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what the LTV
It's
is.
insane.
It's in the 6 figures,
It's insane.
100K.
6 figures.
Yeah.
Every customer 6 figures. 5-year lifetime, 6-figure LTV is craziness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just bring in one conversion, you pay for yourself for a year.
Yep.
That's the kind of business you want to be in. 10 years ago, I was just a B2C marketer. And I guess it was a little more than 10 years. And I did a Reddit meetup in LA of marketers. And this guy, Colin Beauvais, who I actually work with oftentimes, he's a great web designer now. He does some of our clients' web design work, although now we're using anti-gravity from Google a lot too. Sorry, Colin. But he was like, you should do B2B. B2B SaaS is so much more fun as a marketer. I'm like, how is that fun? I want to be able to like tell my friends about what I'm working on. They can download the app and work on it. At the time, GrowthExpertz was working with Tinder in LA. And, that was really sexy. You could tell people Tinder and they thought it was cool. Nobody, we had to explain what Fibr does. But what's cool about B2B is that if it makes money, it makes sense.
It makes money. Yeah.
It makes money.
Yeah.
And like it's so much more replicable, the marketing aspect of it, which is almost all what we focus on now. And so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for, you want to make your customers X what you charge them, because that makes the sales experience so much easier. I would imagine you have a relatively short sales cycle, even if you don't have.
No, we don't.
No?
Like that's where I love to pick your brain as well.
We're going to fix that. Yeah.
Our biggest challenge is our sales cycles are super long. Like all these banks and telecom players and credit union, like they're huge. So they have, first of all, figuring out who you are selling into. Like, because they have like so many teams out there. You need to figure out a champion.
Marketing person. No, there's no. Yeah.
But they have like 6 marketing teams within the same bank.
It's the demand marketer. It's the performance marketer. So that's the first thing. So let's talk about that before we even get into anything about the fundraising. And we might not even get into that today because there's so much marketing related stuff to talk. I mean, you might be the first marketing company that's even been on here ever, because I don't normally have marketing products that I think are that interesting enough to interview that are raising money. MarTech doesn't even really get funded very much. You know, like I thought in my career I would go into building my own MarTech products, but I had VC friends and they're like, hey, you don't ever get to raise money for MarTech stuff. You have to just go and do marketing, get your clients, and let the revenue that you generate fund the business. And so the difference here is that you're building an AI startup. It's not just a MarTech company. So there's many ways to do outreach. First of all, you actually don't want to rely on outreach. You want to do a lot of inbound marketing. So inbound marketing in the sense of the AI, GEO, AEO stuff. Like the first thing I said on the call was that this is a conversion rate optimization product. So the top CRO products is what I would be blogging and doing AI for. I mean, doing SEO for. So if anybody doesn't know what any of those acronyms mean, I mean like your search engine optimization, your generative engine optimization, all of the content you're putting out there is about this being a conversion rate optimization product, maybe the greatest conversion rate optimization product of all time, because like you said, the previous incumbents are human led and AI can just do so much more now. And so making an AI native CRO website optimization product, never been done before. And so there's PR that brings inbound, that gets a lot. When people read PR, the sales cycles are very short because they're self-selling. They're reading the quotes from anonymous customers that don't want to have their brand out there. We saw a 32% uplift in conversions, and each one of our bank conversions LTV is 100K. We're so thankful for Fibr, you know. If I read that, I'm coming in, I'm already having an internal meeting in the company before I even meet with you. So PR is a really big aspect, not just fundraising PR, because that's how we find our guests for this podcast. So you clearly did that, but you need to do PR in the marketing space. So advertising weekly, you know, growthhackers.com, all the different banking related media, like what innovative marketing product a startup is going to get. There's nothing happening in the banking industry from a conversion rate perspective. So you should be able to go out and get those interviews. You have a pretty big team in India. I saw that. And that's what I lean on, Indian marketing teams. You know, I advise and do, as a fractional CMO, a couple Indian startups, and they're very good at list building, very good at churning out results. They just need to be told what to do, you know, like from a creative perspective. And that's where like the growth hacking Silicon Valley mindset comes in, because, you know, in India, they don't want to like step on any toes. They don't want to do anything that might make the brand look bad. And you have to tell them, no, break some fucking eggs to make this omelet, you know? And so I think the PR thing is a huge piece also for SEO and GEO, but for one is doing marketing as a marketing tool, not just an AI company. You know, like, so top 10 ways to increase conversions for banks. You know, the marketers are going to find that. If they find that on their own and come to you, sales cycle short. That's one. Second thing is the problem. There's always one bottleneck in the sales experience. Usually it's like onboarding. Oh, we don't want to learn another platform. So actually it's a benefit that you have a giant Indian team, and you have to explain that as this unique selling point to these clients. As we do this white glove, you get a dedicated account manager. If you just had an American team, you can't scale that 40-person team with $7 million. So that's a benefit I see when working with Indian startups. Also, as we explain, you know, from during the pilot, they need to see that there's a human dedicated there for them. But beyond that, they just don't want to give anybody access to their website. That's probably where the bottleneck is. Like, cool, this sounds good, but like, nobody wants to be wrong if it's such a public facing thing. So you have to remove that fear, or start with like a sub page. You have to like, you know, like the pilot isn't the issue, you know, like they have money, you know what I mean? So they don't necessarily need a free pilot to prove that it works. They need to prove before that they even give you access to anything, that it's not going to cause anything
break
to blow
anything
up. The breaking anything is the scarier thing, dude, that they lose their job over that.
More than the job, like most of these companies are like public companies. If we screw up something, that stock tanks as well. Like, so it's a risky business for them. So a couple of points, Andrew. I think I completely agree on the PR stuff. I don't know, like your team might be in touch with Tori. So we recently got Tori on board to PR for us. She's based out of Boston, I think. She's been phenomenal. She used to work with, you know, this company called Goldcast. So they're like a video company, got sold to C-Vent recently. So I got her in. So I think one thing we are doing right, what you
on the PR
recommend.
Side, nice.
PR side. The second one is break things. I completely agree. I'm the one, like, you won't believe, like in the conference, we did we bought a basketball hoop and put it on top of our standee. And then anybody passing, it's tough to call them directly. Now you just throw the ball and say, hey, do you want to shoot a hoop? And then they're shooting the hoop, but they read everything below it. And they're like, wow, 25% increase in conversion. I'm going to talk to these guys. Whatever it is, I'm going to talk to these guys. And so you, like, day one, we had 2 conversations. Day 2, when we put the hoop, it becomes like 20 conversations. Day 3, we have like few people coming just to like shoot the hoop. And so like I break things. I think like my team has to as well. Like I put a banner in the conference space is expensive. You have to utilize as much as you can. I put a banner of hiring there because all the other vendors, they have the best salespeople out there, best field marketers out there.
Smart.
And I put a banner of hiring. I'm like gonna reach out. People click pictures. I was sure nobody will approach me during conference. I got like 20 people text me on LinkedIn. Hey, let's chat. I saw you guys hiring. Let's chat.
Aggressive.
So
no,
yeah,
it makes sense. And also showing that you're hiring shows that you're growing, and it's a good sign to put prospects as well. But that's awesome. So back to sales cycle, also going a little bit smaller, getting more case studies. So you can offer discounts to companies to not make you sign an NDA. So you need to get case studies. That also helps with, smaller banks, smaller companies, even though they're not going to be big revenue generators for you. You give them massive, I always tell CEOs, you give the real price, and then when they do pushback, then you go, let me talk to my head of marketing. Even if you don't have one, you talk to the head of marketing, and then you come back and you say, hey, my head of marketing agreed to give you a 50% discount if you participate in a case study. You really need more logos and case studies. And then you take those case studies after just a 1-month pilot, and then so it's not like a year-long thing, then you can use that to close the bigger deals. Going straight after the enterprise from the beginning, you actually can fail as a business because those can take 2 years sometimes to close, depending on the industry. Telecom specifically, I've known it takes really long to close. So that can help. Like, even though you don't want some of the really small customers, you just need the logos. And the doesn't matter like how small it is in the sense of a case study, right? It's only about they saw this much percentage uplift. And it's also about companies want to provide a better experience. So you can get user feedback from their customers as well. And customers said this, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think that let's talk a little bit about outreach too, because outreach is really important for this. So we talked about the inbound to increase the speed at which deals close, but it's also about finding the right champion inside of the ICP, right? So if you go C-level, which I call a top-down approach, you get a very low response rate, but when they do respond, they kick it down to employees and everybody listens. Everybody listens, and it moves really quickly. So you have to be doing that as ground cover all the time. Usually we want the founder and CEOs LinkedIn to have all those connections. They'll accept the connections. They might not respond, but then as we're posting organically, as we're talking about the case studies, we're sharing the PR that Tori's getting or whatever, then we're delighting those people and they come inbound. Hey, we've been a connection for 2 months. I saw what you guys are doing. We actually want to get some results. Like, the thing is, it has to be top of mind in that business at that time. Like, they don't know this problem really exists because they're happy with their conversion rate as is. So you have to create content as a founder, like your LinkedIn. So there's company LinkedIn organic strategy, and then there's founder LinkedIn strategy. Founder is usually about the problems that you're seeing. We're seeing banks you talked about websites are the last frontier of innovation digitally, which sounds crazy, but it's almost done anyway. Actually, another question for you is, what do you think about half is bot traffic now? Like, how does that play with you guys?
No, I think that's one of the best things for us, because the pitch we typically give is the technical pitch that I told you is what it is, what we do. But theoretically and technically, what we are doing is we are trying to convert every link into an AI agent, which has memory, which learns from where the user is coming from, what context they have seen, what demographic they are from. And so when you make a link or a URL as an agent, you can talk to a bot as well. So Valley has started talking about agent to agent communication, where Andrew's agent is going and shopping for him or filling a cart. We enable it like crazy, because right now the way agent works is they go to the web and then they run like a human. They will type for you. Mm-hmm. But that's not how agent should. The machine should not type, right? Like, machine should communicate in an API to another agent on the web and say, hey, this is Andrew. Andrew lives here. This is credit score. This is what he does, blah, blah, blah. And then my agent tells you back, oh yeah, he is qualified for these 3 cards. Let me know which one do you like most. And then the agent says this. That is what we can enable in the future. Like that's what we are building.
I'm excited for that. When I tell people that human internet will be gone in a few more years, they're very scared. I'm like, no, it's a good thing, because one, we're spending way too much time on social media and doom scrolling and all this stuff, and it's going to be way more efficient. But also, as an entrepreneur, I'm already doing it. There's a website. It was number one product hunt a couple of weeks ago. Tobari.ai. They're a platform where you train an agent on the services that you provide.
Exactly.
And then other prospects come and say, hey, I'm looking for marketing services. The agent comes and talks to 1 million agents at once, compiles the best results, and then goes and brings it to the human. And we've gotten meetings booked out of it already and doing nothing. And so it's very exciting time in the future. And I think that's a core offering of your product that you can deliver to these banks and these telecom companies that are not going to be ready for that innovation on their own at all. Now, that makes it difficult to know what to talk about first, but I would think that might be a good wedge. So going back to the outreach, so there's top down, you want to be doing that also, but you're going to have a low response rate from that. But the ones that do lead to a short sales cycle, because boss man said, I need to do this, let's go do it. Or boss lady said, I need to do this, we got to do it. Then the bottoms up approach is actually probably more scalable for you, because it's the marketer that understands it. And it's not just any marketer. It has to be the person in charge of the paid advertising, where conversion rate is really the most important. The social media marketer, wrong person. The director of marketing, still kind of high level. They're not going to respond to everything. They're going to maybe kick it down 10% of the time. But what I find is lower level marketers, even when you might be even try DMing through social media a business that should be using it, because that low level marketer, sorry to call low level to any of the social media marketers out there, but they're generally younger kids. They're in charge of the social media. But when they have marketing meetings as a company, they really like bringing stuff up to the whole company. That's what I find being in the trenches for so long in marketing. So they go, guys, I just found this new thing. They won't say the company spammed me on Instagram. They'll make it look like they found the technology on their own, which you don't care. And they bring it up relatively quickly in a marketing meeting, like same week that you reach out. So that's something that a lot of people don't try, but a junior level marketer can actually bring something up this chain quite quickly. And the demand marketer is going to be like, what? Increase my conversion rate even 5% and I will die for that opportunity. You know what I mean? And so I mean, not me, but the marketer will. Like if you're able to be the champion that increases your business's conversion rate by a factor of anything, you're going to get a promotion pretty quickly. So that's actually the message. Like, hey, we've invented this AI tool. You don't even need to say the rest. It's an AI tool that increases your conversions up to 30%. Would love to show you. We're actually doing free pilots for blank industry clients right now. And, it needs to be a short. That's another thing that I find, like I work with Indian marketers a lot. It's too much pleasantries, too much respect, leftover bullshit from British rule. Like, dear sir, madam, how are you? Seriously. So as opposed to that Silicon Valley American, it's a one-liner. Hey, I've got this really cool thing that's going to help you make more money. That's all they need to know, actually. And so it's the way you say it as well, will drive faster sales cycle, Also, 2-month pilot is too much. I'm working with another AI company. We're in the AI voice space. I talk about them quite a lot, actually. They're called With Q Concierge. They do AI voice stuff for hotels. And they're doing 1-month pilots. And within the first few days, the client sees the value. It's like, oh shit, this is amazing. Actually, then the pilot goes on so long and they've kind of forgotten about you again. You want to catch them in the aha moment early on. But what we do there is it's a 1-month contract that's signed that they have to pay at the end. Like it grows into a 12-month contract if successful, if not canceled. So you have an almost guarantee that if you're successful, but 2 months is enough. If you're getting 100,000 visits a month, they should see, 10 days. There's a sweet spot there. Like they're not going to put you on the website if it's only for a short period of time, but too long, it delays the sale. Have you iterated on that?
We haven't iterated much on 2 months. Like we initially started like, hey, sign a yearly contract. You have an optionality at the end of the quarter, but it's an year contract. Like you align on pricing, you do like everything. We got some success with it, but we realized it was making the process really slow. Then we went to an order firm and said, hey, let's do a 2-month pilot. Typically, we started a month, but what happens with these larger banks, what we have seen is the first month goes in like just setting things up for them. And so if you so setting things up, and then the second month when we actually run, that's our 2-month. And also if you say a month, if you don't include setting things up, they don't want to pay for it, or they don't want to do anything for it, and they don't want to consider it as a part of pilot. So we make it 2 months, 15 to 20 days to set up everything, to get you ready, and then actual run of the software will be only for 30 days. Right? That's how we typically pitch.
Okay, I got 2 more ideas and then I'll let you go. I am seeing early days. I'm seeing when you're targeting old industries like this, a layer that increases conversion is finding a company that has a role for digital innovation or AI.
Yeah.
And finding that person.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a signal that the company's it's old school, but they've at least invested in having a full-time person that has to be their job to listen to you and meet with you. And that person can be the champion and move it along quicker because it's value for them. Their job is to bring innovation into the company, and you're an innovative product. So you can run that search from Sales Navigator. You can make Claude scrape, hey, what companies in this space have this role that they've hired for, and what are their LinkedIn profiles, and go after them. The digital innovation person moves really quick because that's their value proposition to the company. Like that's their metric for their ROI, for their keeping their
Makes
job
sense.
is that they're bringing innovative things into the company. You don't have to explain as much because they're usually knowledgeable about the space and they can suggest and move it quickly. So I think that's a good thing to potentially target for outreach. The last thing I was going to say is, you mentioned that you're at a lot of conferences and that's maybe working for you. You know, it might be a little bit early, but having your own conference might make sense. And it does not cost anywhere near what it sounds like. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. You know where, you mentioned New York City, you mentioned some cities. You can fly in there. It doesn't even have to be a huge conference. It can be, drinks for leaders, AI innovation leaders at banks. We just did another Indian startup that I'm working with just did a drinks and dinner at like the Battery in San Francisco, super like exclusive club. We rented out the winery, $7,500. It sounds like a lot, but we had 30 leads, 30 potential decision makers. I mean, not potential, real C-level decision makers of potential customers, and we got like four ongoing conversations out of it. And again, they're $100,000 deals. So if 2 close, it's like a 30x.
You're done.
30x ROI. So, it's okay to do things that don't scale. And the older the industry that you're targeting, the more you have to do this face-to-face stuff, as you mentioned. So
I agree. I think this is one of our roadmap right now. Like I'm hiring a full-time field marketer right now just for this role. We know 7 or 8 cities in US where the high density of these traditional old companies are. And so I do want her or him to travel to those cities, do like roundtable conferences. One of the AE joins them from their home state, and then like we figure out like even if we even get like two leads out of it, we
absolutely. Well, how many
like
roles?
all these conferences we are doing, they are served tens of thousands of dollars, right? Like they are not cheap either, and you just get a booth out of like 20 other booths or 100 other booths there. You don't get that much.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of conferences early on as a business, unless you're in a real, like if you're only selling to insurance in an old school industry. But, I think of like, let's say, conference is $50K. That amount spent on LinkedIn ads, there's no way you're not going to get more leads out of LinkedIn than you would do the conference. You also get brand awareness. You get 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. That these things help close conversions from outreach. So, I always want to make sure, and I like saying this publicly, that we spend all the money digitally that we can first, and then we go into offline stuff. But again, it's okay to do things that don't scale in the early stages. And in a competitive AI environment, raising the money is to get out there and move faster and do things. And you have to spend the money too. I tell people I'm a cheap ass marketer. I try to focus on doing things organically. But if you have $7 million, at least 20% of that should go towards marketing. You should spend it. So that's
I agree.
Totally fair. Well, it's been a real pleasure. I'm excited to learn more about the product. We'll talk more offline and, maybe send some clients your way. But Is there anything else that you want to ask me before I let you go about marketing?
No, I think
What's
there's been
painting your head the most?
I think like do you keep focusing or drilling down to enterprise or go like slightly smaller? We are seeing some good success with credit union, so I think that's something that I've started figuring, like moving the AEs from communicating to larger orgs, but going like to smaller orgs, like rather than targeting an AT&T, target a Cricket or a Boost Mobile, or
Those
targeting
are all
a
huge.
right like it's still like, or like a smaller one, or like much smaller, like a state level telecom provider, right? That would be a better play. So we are still figuring that out. I think that's one thing. I think you have said it multiple times.
Yeah, go
At
smaller.
this stage, if you go smaller,
Go smaller, maybe charge a little bit less, but make it easy for them to move forwards. But that's because you need the logos and you need the case studies, which will help
Makes
close
sense.
the bigger deals. But even still, I didn't even say this, 2 months to close a 100K deal is actually quite fast. You know, like nobody's making those decisions quickly.
Yeah, but there's a lot of time before the 2 months that kills you, right? Like getting in, getting that.
I think the thing to say is really to focus on the conversion rate, that it's the uplift. Like, you know, nothing else that they do this whole year will make more impact on the business than working with you. That level of confidence will move them to a meeting. It's not like, hey, we're a little startup that we'd love to help you make a better experience for your users. Like, no, we're going to make you an extra $5 million this year. You know what I mean? Or something crazy. Like, it's the truth. So you need to have a case study to be able to back that up and prove.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Andrew. Thanks a lot.
That has been another episode of the Funded Now What podcast with your host, Andrew Lee Miller, brought to you by GrowthExpertz. If you liked this episode, please subscribe. And if you really liked it, please share with other founders and entrepreneurs. Thanks. And we'll see you in the next episode.